Greetings, friends. Last Sunday, on October 11th, Grace Lutheran Church celebrated Church in the Park. It was a windy day and we had some technical difficulties, and so perhaps some of you who were watching from at home didn't get to hear the message very clearly. So here it is again. I want you to hear the gospel. And the gospel is from John chapter 3, and it's just one verse, verse 16. For God so loved the world that he gave his only Son, that everyone who believes in him may not perish, but may have eternal life. This is the gospel of the Lord. Well, imagine that the sun has set and the harvest moon is rising big and yellow. It's one of those nights when you can actually see your shadow. This night, a religious leader named Nicodemus is walking down a narrow, deserted street. He hopes no one sees where he's going. He arrives at a house and taps on the door. Jesus opens it, almost as if he had been expecting him. Nicodemus apologizes. He won't stay long, but he just has one question. Jesus, who are you? Jesus looks at him, looks deep into the center of his being, and answers this way. For God so loved the world that he gave his only Son, that everyone who believes in him may not perish, but may have eternal life. I imagine that if I had been the visitor that night sitting with Jesus and I got this answer, I'd have to ask for a pencil and write it down and go home and study it for a while. So let's imagine that you are Nicodemus and you did ask for pencil and paper and you did write this down. For God so loved the world that he gave his only Son, that everyone who believes in him may not perish, but may have eternal life. You fold it up and you put it in your pocket and you go home. And even though it's late, you can't sleep. In fact, you are more awake than you've ever been in your life. You ask Jesus who he is and you get this answer. So you sit with these words and you wonder. And you wonder about two words in particular. So loved. God so loved the world. Is this about God loving the world very, very, very much? Well, yes, but it's about so much more than that. Think about Jesus' whole life, his ministry, his death, his resurrection. What Jesus means when he says that God so loved the world, he means this. God loved the world in this way. So maybe if you have a Bible handy, you could open it to John 3:16 and write in the margins, so equals in this way. Who is Jesus? Here's the answer. Jesus is the way that God is choosing to love the world. I'm going to say that again. Jesus is the way that God is choosing to love the world. Think about it. Wherever Jesus goes, he hangs out with the people who are left out and left behind. Whenever he heals someone or eats with someone or feeds large crowds, not only is Jesus showing compassion, but he's also questioning systems. Systems where some have access to food and some don't. Systems where some have access to good health and some don't. Where some are considered equal and others much less so. And remember, Jesus is doing all of this under the watchful eye of the oppressive empire. Every action of love that Jesus takes, he's putting himself in danger. How is God choosing to love the world? by loving bravely. Now, last Sunday, we celebrated a rising generation. We baptized 3-week-old Theo. We celebrated the communion milestone with our 6th graders, and our 9th graders affirmed their baptisms. This generation of young people inspires me. I think about Emma Gonzalez, who survived the shooting at Stoneman Douglas High School and became a fearless force for gun control. Or Greta Thunberg, the Swedish teen who won't let some in power stop her from sounding the alarm about climate change. Or young Nobel laureate Malala Yousafzai, shot in the head for having the audacity to be a girl and want to go to school. This is exactly the way that God chooses to love the world, bravely in the face of systems that are going against us. And how is God choosing to love the world now? Through people like us, young and old and everybody in between. And the way that Grace Lutheran Church embodies God's brave love is, it's the very thing that drew me to you. I wasn't looking for a new call. But this brave love is so compelling. This kind of love opens doors. Doors to starting the Matrix Shelter, partnering with the Link, and opening a wide door of welcome to our LGBTQIA siblings, and so much more. As we look ahead to 2021, a vision is emerging. During the pandemic right now, I think we need to focus our energy only on the things that we can't not do. And our leaders believe that the thing that we can't not do is focus on racial justice. Our rising generation of young adults at Grace is leading the way, and it is fun to see them in action. So what will we do? 3 things. We're going to learn about systems of whiteness and systems of racism. We are going to grow in our ability to be in relationships with people across difference. And we are going to listen in the community in order to take action on things we care about. As I've been testing this vision out with dozens of leaders around the community, I've heard things like, well, of course this is what Grace should do next. I believe it's the next brave way that Grace can love. And so in order for us to live into that love, we have put together a budget for 2021 of $1.35 million, which is just a few $1,000s more than was originally budgeted for 2020. My biggest hope is that a robust response to Love Opens Doors gives us confidence that we need to call a full-time associate pastor, someone to walk with us and love bravely with us. We also hope to hire a community organizer to help us build relationships in our immediate neighborhood and help us take action on things that need changing. Some might ask, shouldn't we be more cautious? Shouldn't we be more careful when things in the world are so uncertain? To that, I will say this. Never in my life so far has there been a time when I have been called to love more bravely. Never before in my life has there been a time when I have needed to place all my faith in Jesus Christ. Never before in my life have I had such conviction in the importance of the church in a world where evil is raising its ugly head and a world crying out for justice. And never before have I needed my Christian community to remind me of the hope that we have in Jesus. And never before in my life have I thought about putting down a number on a commitment card, and then as the weeks go by, that number keeps getting bigger and bigger because my understanding grows of the powerful way that God has used Grace to love the world and that God can use Grace in the future. This kind of love opens doors. Let's walk through together.